Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to my Town Hall Tuesdays at 12. I hope that everybody is having a great week. If you can see me or hear me, please make sure that you leave a comment in the live stream. If you have any questions as we go through today, we are going to keep on topic today about Brickell because we have so much to cover in the Brickell area. There's been a little bit of issue where I believe the stream is actually saying that we're going live at 12 a.m. So we may not have as many people on as we normally do. If you can hear me, please make sure that you do comment because that's the only way I'm going to know today because my mother is on a little sabbatical. She is returning to Miami here before too long, but I don't have anybody to watch the comments. So if you are commenting, please let me know if I miss you today or at all, let me know. I apologize in advance. Okay. So my name is Reeves-Tasker. I am running for District 2 City Commission. That is the incumbent for the seat, has just been in office for about 7 months and hasn't really taken the initiative that I would have taken to make sure that we get our city services delivered by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm going to share with you what I would do. And we're going to start today with Brickell, the Brickell area specifically. I do live in Brickell, and you're going to see some of my own photos of what I see every day in Brickell and why I'm very concerned about our city. But I think it's really important to share with you guys exactly why I began running for commission because my own area is the reason that I began running. So let me actually just share this with you really quick. So there was an issue. This is me on top of my building, talking about the building next door. So I'm just going to let the clip play so that you can see one of the main reasons that I became involved with the city as a whole and started to begin being very concerned about our city services not being delivered in general. Vote Reeves-Tasker for Miami District 2 Commissioner.
As a new high-rise goes up right next door, they claim the construction is jeopardizing the structure of their building and now causing a new concern.
NBC6's Julie Leonardi is live right now with the details, including how the contractor is responding. Julie.
Yeah, well, residents say this construction has been going on for quite a while now. And at this point, they say they're concerned that this construction could actually negatively affect their own buildings and the structure of other buildings around them. They also say that they just feel like they're kept in the dark about these problems that are happening.
It almost seemed like it was a deja vu moment.
Residents living in Brickell on Biscayne Bay have been keeping an eye on this construction site. They say the site has flooded once again, and they're worried this is putting their own high-rise condos in jeopardy. Their fear is seeing deterioration that could lead to much worse.
We have a cracking pool deck. We can see ground cracking issues in our driveway.
Reeves-Tasker says the residents feel like their concerns aren't heard. This is set to be a near 50-story luxury high-rise condo with a deep below-ground garage, something that these residents don't think is a good idea for their homes or for the Bay.
Beginning to be more than environmental. This is humanitarian. And what they're doing is they're putting a lot of people's lives at risk. This is more than about buildings.
We first told you about the Una residences when the site flooded back in October. Tasker says she didn't expect to see it happen again just after workers spent the weekend pouring concrete.
We were told that this concrete was going to take care of everything.
The project's general contractor tells NBC6 our team is aware of social media speculation regarding water pooling on the Una residence construction site. They go on to say the pooling is a result of Saturday's concrete pour and is normal at a project of this size. They tell us that the water is draining, and they also tell us that a rep with the county's Department of Environmental Resource Management was on site over the weekend and has given the go-ahead for the project to continue. But residents say they still don't have peace of mind.
Unlike Champlain Towers, we're actually preparing for the mistakes that they're making.
So besides halting construction altogether, these residents tell me they really just want transparency. They want to know exactly what's going on with this inspection process and what's going on under the surface. Now, we also reported that back in October, the aquifer below this area was breached. So they want to make sure that doesn't happen again, because they tell me it's also an environmental issue as well. Live in Brickell, Julie Leonardi, NBC 6 News.
This is Christi Tasker, and this ad has been approved and paid for by.
So that is how I became involved with the city as a whole. I became very concerned when my own property started to be absolutely demised by the Una Residences building. So I saw firsthand how a construction site next door can affect your own properties and all the surrounding properties in our area. So this just kind of gives you an idea of, what a building and the surrounding properties go through. So I'm very well aware of how any decisions regarding legislation actually affect you and your buildings. Because the city currently right now is not taking care of properties that they're supposed to. They're not actually holding developers accountable. I am not opposed to development. I want to say that. I'm not opposed to development at all. I am opposed to irresponsible development. So that means that we don't have infrastructure plans. We're not clearly defining for the developer, listen, the medians are not for you and your staff to stand on. The medians, are still for residences to enjoy and to serve as a buffer. And we will not allow concrete in the streets because concretes actually stop up our drains and cause our entire bay to have infrastructure issues. So when it comes to, what would actually happen, you can see this is actually concrete from this building. They are in no way being held responsible for making sure that this concrete does not go down our city drains and into our bay, which would cause hugely environmental issues. The other thing the city doesn't do is when there's a project next door, they're not taking care of like medians, walkways, sidewalks, and it also becomes extremely dangerous in terms of what it will cost the city long term. So whenever we have issues, where trees are not being taken care of, limbs can easily fall and hit people in the head. Sidewalks can cause tripping hazards, and they just cause major issues as a whole. And then when we're not carefully arboring the trees, when passersby are walking on sidewalks, this is extremely dangerous, because when we're leaving loose limbs, especially with like hurricanes coming in, we're just causing ourselves a lot of catastrophe. And not only that, but we are jeopardizing our citizens in terms of not being able to manage these tree limbs. Could actually fall and make you be without electricity. And that's unnecessarily as well. So those things are all preventable as a whole. Same thing that's also preventable is having, making it so that landscapers are allowed to landscape in a way where mud actually goes over our sidewalks as a whole, because obviously we all get whenever you're running or walking, you're getting this mud into your shoes. That could all be avoided. And there are areas throughout Miami regarding the sidewalks where we have paint. I don't even know where this paint comes from, but we must hold these people accountable and make sure that our sidewalks actually stay clean and clear. Whenever we have accidents where, maybe trees get hit from a car, we have to make sure that the trees actually are not infected, because again, this will cause major issues down the road. So we need to make sure that arborists actually come out and take care of these trees before they become a problem. And then other things that are occurring that the city is doing in the middle of everything that you just saw, they're coming in and through the Downtown Development Authority, that's the DDA, creating a passage where we've taken up part of our sidewalk. About 37 inches of our sidewalk is then taken up with a huge LED billboard. So many times there will be runners, running down the street, and then walkers walking the other way. They're literally having to stop. I mean, because obviously nobody can run into this billboard. So I'm very much opposed to these billboards because they do take up our city sidewalks. The billboards have a place. Yes, I think they should be used at train stations, but they should not just be planted in the middle of our sidewalks, causing basically human traffic jams, if you will. The other thing that is happening throughout the city of Brickell, the Brickell portion, throughout the city as a whole, really, are just weed issues. I mean, where we're not even taking care of the weeds, and it just looks really bad. I mean, listen, I mean, I go to third world countries for work, and it looks cleaner than some parts of our city do, to be honest with you. And then back to the arborist. I mean, this is what it looks like when a tree is not arbored correctly. As everybody probably knows, trees are very expensive, and larger trees actually cost us a lot of money if we had to replace it. And it would take years for this tree to grow like this. So we have to take care of what we have. So as you can see, this tree has definitely not been properly arbored. So what I find throughout Brickell is that even if they do something new, it's just absolutely not maintained. And it's literally been a very long time since anything new has been done. So if I had been elected in February, one of the first things that I would have done is make sure that basic things on our major roadway were taken care of, starting from the center and then spreading out. To me, that's just absolutely common sense, to make sure, that the weeds are taken care of, the sidewalks are clean and not broken. Speaking of which, I have actually reported this sidewalk numerous times on 311 myself. It has over 1.5 inches broken portion here. I've literally seen people trip on this portion. So this is actually going to cause somebody to fall. And this is completely unnecessary. There's no reason why the current commissioner's office should not be following up with major issues like this, because these are very inexpensive to repair, whereas a personal injury lawsuit would cost us millions. So, and it also, just looks gross and catches a lot of dirt. And then also, whenever we have a dirt issue or even a leaf issue where we're allowing landscapers to clog our drains and then we're not coming out pumping them, we get basically standing water in areas where there should not be standing water. And this can actually cause mosquitoes. One problem really leads to another, and it could be completely avoided by just simply, number one, pumping the drains to begin with, putting a grate over the drains so that large objects cannot go down in the drains. Because as you can see, this is trash. This will end up in our bay and it could actually be caught by a drain cover. So there are drain covers missing throughout Brickell and really throughout the district as a whole. So the other thing that I think looks absolutely terrible is when we, have mixed areas where we have gravel and then we have grass. It's like we can't make up our mind. What should it be, the gravel or the grass? Well, obviously this is an area where we really need grass, because this is also the area where you just saw the flooded portion. So grass, we need to keep in mind, sucks up water. So throughout the district, when there are commissioners that have taken out trees drink a lot of water. So we need to be mindful of that. Obviously in Brickell, we also have homelessness is a huge issue. Homelessness. Oh, let me say one thing on the sidewalks before we go too far. So we have also areas where it's like all of a sudden there will be a newsstand pop up. Again, this takes up sidewalks, but notice this never has any papers in it. So it's a total waste of space, a total waste of sidewalk space when we're already short sidewalk space anyway. So there are much better ways and much better ways that things could be done. For instance, with City Bike, they actually have an angled bike rack that should have been that we should have asked for in this place, because as you can see, if there were bikes actually all the way to the end, we barely have enough passageway for ADA compliance, much less two people to pass each other. And this is directly next to the bus stop. Speaking of the bus stops are absolutely disgustingly filthy. I mean, we should absolutely be ashamed of ourselves. I mean, this is just absolutely gross. This is the one at Brickell and 25th Road. It's just disgusting. So things like this need to be cleaned. And throughout Brickell, we have a huge issue of homelessness as well. So I am doing an investigative piece regarding the homeless situation, because what we have found is that the homeless people are often not able to get into shelters. I have homeless people telling me that their social security numbers are being taken and given to shelters such as Camilla's House and others, and they're being utilized at one place and therefore they cannot get in another. I have personally called with a homeless man trying to see if we could, going through the process as if I were him. Number one, he can't get anybody to answer the phone. When he can, when he is able to leave a message, he basically has to leave a message. And if he happens to be working or anything, that he can't just answer the call right then, he can't get back through to that person. So I don't know how we're ever expecting our homeless people to ever get off the streets, because if they do have a job, this particular man that I was speaking with said he had a job painting. He was up on a ladder. They call him for shelter. And by the time he called back, he couldn't even get anybody on the phone. So he's pretty much forced to sleep underneath a bridge. He seemed very clean in terms of, you would probably never expect him to be homeless. The other problem that I'm very well aware of is that we have a high suicide rate in Brickell. We have a high suicide rate. Officers are telling me that not only do we have the high suicide rate, but we also have a high number of Airbnbs in the Brickell and downtown areas. Believe it or not, more in Brickell than even downtown. And these guests, and I'm calling them guests because this is tourism, is costing our officers a lot of money. So that is the reason too, I want to make all of you aware that it's very important that, number one, you vote for someone like myself who is not only a Brickell resident, but actually a home owner or a condo owner, because there are a lot of people who are disenfranchising you because of rents, making you homeless. And when I say that, I mean that with the utmost respect, and that they are causing the housing inflation themselves. Okay. And many of these people that I'm talking about, even one of my competitors is on the boards of numerous homeowners associations, and they are not regulating the Airbnbs. The HOAs are supposed to regulate the Airbnbs, but Airbnbs typically make them more money in a week sometimes than they can make in an entire month off of rent. So all they need to do is rent out their space for a week or two, and it's going to make them more than they would in their rents. So if you are a board member of an HOA, or if you are a voter, an owner in your HOA, I highly recommend that you have your HOA put some limitations on the terms of the leases. So what you want to do is you want to tell your HOA, hey, listen, we only need 12-month leases. And if anybody breaks that 12-month lease, then we need to be able to fine them. And also the number of guests kind of coming and going at a time. So in other words, if you are living in a condo and you have somebody that owns a condo, they are simply letting their friends stay there. Another idea is to make sure that the owner has to be present with their guests. That is one way to resolve the issue. And you can discuss that with your HOA. This is going to be completely up to your HOA. But in terms of the city, it definitely affects the city. It affects the police. And it makes it so that they are not able to take care of calls because, or say a life emergency call because maybe they're taking care of a suicide call. Okay. Or, a homicide because somebody has, or homicide or suicide because somebody has actually committed suicide. So believe it or not, that is a major issue throughout Brickell. We know that there's been deaths from people jumping from buildings. They come here on vacation and, they get depressed. And then our officers are having to deal with that. So that takes our taxpayer money. It takes up our officer resources. Another thing that is occurring throughout Brickell is robbery for car robbery, homeowner robbery, and robbery in our small businesses and stores such as Saks Fifth Avenue. So the robberies are taking up police officer resources. Police officers tell me that they don't have time to even work on human trafficking cases or even the prostitution rings that are occurring in Brickell, believe it or not, where, pimps will rent out an entire apartment for a week and then you've got just people coming and going. That is a major issue. And when, it takes a while to break a case like that, a human trafficking case, and they're getting called away for robberies, such as the Saks Fifth Avenue department store, whenever they call in saying that they are going to a specific case or they're working on a human trafficking case, all of a sudden there'll be a robbery at Saks Fifth Avenue. So they have to go and deal with the robbery. And so then that's how the human trafficking pieces or the human trafficking cases are really going unsolved because there's not enough manpower. It is my understanding there is only one person that is dedicated to the human trafficking cause as a whole. So that to me is extremely concerning. It's concerning to many of our officers because they are seeing what they believe is trafficking firsthand. The other thing that is occurring is noise throughout Brickell. So you may hear these really loud motorcycles, throughout the night. It's very annoying. And they are working on a method that it's kind of a tire flattening method, but it's not the tire flattening method, but would actually stop some of the motorcycles. They are working on that. Chief Morales was at a meeting with me the other day, and he said that they definitely are working on this. So that is going to be extremely critical for us to make sure that we can stop this noise, because if you're like me, it definitely wakes you up. My mom happens to be on the Rickenbacker Causeway side of Brickell, and she's like, it's extremely, extremely a nuisance. And no matter if you have impact windows or not, it doesn't matter either way. These things are so noisy. So I'm very well aware of that. Currently, the police have a don't chase order because of an incident that occurred where they did a chase and the motorcycle flipped over the bridge. You guys may remember that case a while back. But the reality is their hands are somewhat tied. I would actually untie their hands because I believe officers should be able to do their jobs within reason and at their discretion. So whenever these motorbikers know that they're not able to chase them, it just kind of gets really, really out of control. So and believe it or not, a lot of these motorbikes don't even have tags on them. So they shouldn't be on the roadway to begin with. Okay, then we have bikes. We have a lot of bike accidents throughout Brickell. So Brickell bike accidents are just occurring like a dime a dozen because there's no real bike lanes. There's no way to, and then when the bikers are on the sidewalks, they're hitting pedestrian traffic. So they pretty much having to walk their bike anyway. So I'm very well aware of that. With bike lanes, there are traffic studies being done. I am not a fan of these traffic studies as a whole. There are some instances where they are required, but then there's other instances when it's a city street that we should be able to make a pretty immediate decision. We shouldn't have to wait on anything specific, especially when it comes to slowing down traffic, so that pedestrians and bikers do not get hit. Throughout Brickell, there's also the Metro Mover. I'm very well aware that the Metro Mover often doesn't move. So, and then there's a lot of issues with the Metro Mover. It's very dirty. It seems as though the city and the county are really great at working on things together, supposedly, but then there's a lot of people not following through. I will be following through with Commissioner Eileen Higgins. I've actually asked to meet with her. She's not allowed to meet with me because I'm a candidate. However, she seems to support another candidate, which is very odd. But I have asked to meet with her, just so you're aware. And because I'm very concerned about the Metro Mover as a whole. And I'm concerned about the way the Metro Mover not only looks on the interior, but how it functions and the amount of times per day that it's going to come to you. Is it going to be moving, and the maintenance of the Metro Mover itself and of the Metro Mover stations, and the connectivity with the trains and the buses and the trolleys, because we all need to get that together. So trolleys, let's talk about trolleys, because I want to show you guys there is a way that you can find the trolley map. So that is directly on the city website. I'm going to bring up my screen again for you so that you can see exactly where to go. Well, let's see. Today it can't be found, maybe. Okay, so speaking of technology, I am in technology, and we will make sure that your trolley maps and schedules, you can see here where the trolley schedules and maps are supposed to be here. Broken links on the city website will definitely be fixed. I definitely report these to the city clerk, and Todd and the team definitely try to get that taken care of. Let's see if this link actually works. Okay, so that link goes here. Yes, the city website is an absolute mess. I will make sure to post this trolley mover. This was what I was looking for anyway. So there's basically one link that's broken and one that's not. So I have been watching the trolley maps to make sure that trolleys continuously move. So if we have any watchers out there, if you want to make sure that the trolleys should always be moving like this here, okay? Like this one here is moving down Coral Way. These are not our trolleys, okay? So this is, this combined trolleys for not only City of Miami, but others. So what you're going to notice, if you're noticing what I'm noticing, is the Coral Gables trolleys move quite a bit, whereas our trolleys, like we have one that's moving here down here at the bottom, but then we have a lot that are just sitting here, okay? So I have questioned, why are our trolleys just sitting for so long? Because as you can see, here's one here, here is one, and we literally have one or two trolleys moving here, and this one's just starting to move. But up in the northern parts near Brickell Key, where we really need the trolleys, they kind of tend to, not. To me, there should be one on the island almost all the time, because this is a major point of traffic congestion coming on and off of Brickell Key. So in terms of trolleys themselves, the city is completely in charge of the trolleys. This is actually under a contract that's been like a 10-year contract, and it's under no compete. So in other words, nobody's even competed against it. So I would definitely go out and try to, if I were the city manager, and I will push the city manager to go out and actually try to find other contracts or contractors to compete, because that makes us all better, right? Like, I've never seen a business where you don't have somebody else, at least 3 people bidding on a contract. And the contract is by a limousine service. So if you know of a good limousine service in other places, feel free to tell them, listen, go on to the city website and review, the current contract for the trolley service. If you guys need that, I do have it, and review it and bid on it. So that would actually probably save us a lot of money. It would also make the trolley service better. But that is one of the things I would be doing, is actually contacting some of these the limousine services, to ask them to bid on our trolley contract the next time. So I would not just leave certain things like that for the city manager to do. Our city manager is from the Miami Parking Authority. He has never run a city outside of the city of Miami before. That is not saying he's a bad manager. I don't know him personally. This is nothing personal. I am just saying his background comes from the Miami Parking Authority. And I would utilize my skills and to help him find, that second and third contractor to compete for services, because this is a pretty important piece, especially considering, we do have a lot of traffic congestion. If we had more trolleys moving, or if the trolleys were more consistent, maybe the trolleys that we have are more consistent, and if they were consistently moving, it would probably be a little bit less likely that a lot of us would jump in our cars to go to dinner, or possibly even to go to work, because, as long as they just keep moving. But as you can see, they don't keep moving. They're very slow. I have ridden the trolleys. I've waited on them a while, so I'm very well aware of that. But I have to be elected to office in order to make some of these changes. Let's see. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think I'm forgetting anything. And I'm trying to keep these around 30 minutes so that I don't bore you to death. So if you have any other questions regarding Brickell, please let me know. You can drop a comment in the comment section. You can also email me at hello@Christi, 4 Miami.com. You can also go to my website. If you have any other issues that you would like to report, let me actually just walk you through that really quick. You can go to my website, and you can see here where I do have free news. You can tell me right at the top what's going on, your zip code, and what issue you're most concerned about, and submit your issues to me. You can also donate. My campaign is funded by citizens of Miami, and you can go on and donate. And thank you very much for all of you who donated last week. I really do appreciate that. It's very exciting, actually, to see how many people have donated. So just so you know a little bit about my campaign, I am very hands-on. I love our police force. I love our police officers themselves. They are very short-staffed. They try very hard. I know a lot of people are extremely frustrated with them, but when you have almost 100 officer shortage, the last number that I heard was last week, Chief Morales said that he was 87 officers short, where it had been up over 100. So I'm very well of, a lot of the broken promises that we've had. I have already managed to fix some of these on my street, such as the flooded street. My street actually used to flood for over 20 years before I had them come and pump the drains. So those are simple things that can be done that your current commissioner should be doing, that, as I understand from many of you, are not currently being fulfilled. So I don't take trashy excuses from anyone. And I believe the only way corruption can exist is for good people to do absolutely nothing. And I promise you, I will do something. And you can definitely hold me accountable to these words. So what can you do to help me get elected? Okay, because you need somebody in office that's actually going to do something for you. First of all, you have to vote. You have to get ready to vote. So you can either vote by mail, register to vote, or just check your status. I highly recommend that all of you go on and check your status. Make sure that you are already registered to vote. Make sure that you have not accidentally been removed from the voter rolls. You can also follow me on social media and share my social media content, share my message with your neighbors. And you can offer to help. Believe it or not, we have over 55 volunteers. And even if you're listening to this message and you are somewhere else, you're outside of Miami, you can help us make phone calls, text messages, and everything, because Miami has, believe it or not, kind of set the tone for what happens in other places. You can also chip in and donate, as I've already said. And the other thing, you can go on and read the endorsements from my neighbors, so that you can see what I have actually done for them. And I am very proud to announce that I have actually been the chosen candidate by the Miami Independent. That is right. I've been endorsed by the Miami Independent newspaper. Miami Independent says that I bring common sense business approach that is severely lacking in the commission that has trickled down in all departments. Primarily, Christi clearly sees a lack of transparency and communication, and has fostered an environment that has fostered an environment of mistrust and lack of confidence among citizens and employees alike. Wow, I've got a tongue twister here today. Obviously, my neighbor Margie says, I've been her neighbor for almost 5 years. When she was robbed in my building, she and her husband Boyd took the time to help me. Christi took me to the Apple store to replace my phone and knew what to do to prevent my identity from being stolen. Christi will be great as our next commissioner. Most importantly, she's grounded and always makes time to be a great neighbor. And that is true. I do. I'm always going to be your neighbor. I want to be your commission so that we can get these things taken care of, because I simply got tired of emailing our commissioners in hopes that they would make a change. What are the environmentalists saying about the waste from the developments? That's really interesting, dynamic development advisors. The environmentalists, surprisingly, don't really say a lot about this development waste. What's really shocking is I have to call them and ask them to even come out and take a look at it. They didn't seem very concerned. DERM did not seem very concerned regarding even the issue that I went over in the very beginning of this town hall. So I played this video here. I'm not going to play it again, but if you play this video, they didn't even come out regarding this. They didn't offer to meet with me. So I have a feeling as commissioner, those kind of things will change. Ken Russell came out to meet with me. He suggested that I actually run for commissioner then, because he said that I obviously knew a lot more than even he seemed to know at the time. And Commissioner Russell at the time, he could have done a lot more. He claims that his hands were tied, possibly because he has taken money from some of the developers that he was also trying to speak out against. To me, money is not the key. Doing right by my neighbors is the key. So I hope that you guys will see that and go out and tell your neighbors to make sure to vote for me. I have a ton of support in Coconut Grove, Brickell, Morningside, downtown, 10 Museum Park, throughout downtown, and many of the buildings are supporting me. So hopefully they will come out with announcements soon regarding their support of me. If you guys want to have me into your building, I'll be glad to come and speak to your neighbors, you and your neighbors. We also have announcements such as cocktails for Christi that we're doing almost every Friday. I will come and walk with you and your neighbors. I'll come and meet you, walk with you, talk with your neighbors regarding what I can actually do for you, your building. If you are having issues right now, please feel free to let me know. I'll come out and give you my suggestions on those issues and make sure that you know what I would do, or even give you suggestions on what you can do with the current administration to see if they can take action for you. I'm not having a lot of success with getting them to actually do anything regarding taking care of a lot of they're not really coming out with the pump trucks. They're just blaming the climate on everything. So as far as I know, we have not even had a ton of rain. There should be no reason that water should be sitting on our streets and our drains should be stopped up. To me, it is absolutely common sense that you would at least try to pump the drain to see if that would take care of the issue, especially knowing that the debris will go directly into the bay. So anytime our drains are stopped up, they definitely need to be pumped to keep the debris from going into the bay, because as you all know, our bay is absolutely critical. So I do have a town hall coming up soon. Barbara, my campaign manager, is absolutely amazing. She is getting those events posted on Eventbrite so that you guys can go on and sign up for them and see them, and you can get notices. However, they will go live on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page and on Twitter. So make sure that you do sign up for whichever one of those platforms that you're on so that you get notifications from when I do go live, and the day before. We typically post the town halls the day before and the week before they go on as an event. So that way you can mark your calendars if you want to join me over your lunch hour, or if you are if you're not able to see that, you can actually just go on and watch it at your leisure. You can also share this town hall with your neighbors. That could be a great way to get the message out as well. And I want to thank you all, and make sure too, you can go back and watch any of the other town halls if you are catching this today live and you're interested in seeing the other town halls. I'll show you exactly where to find those. Anytime we're live, you're going to see the live one right here at the top first. And then if you want to watch any of my other town halls, you can go here to see the Coconut Grove one that we did last week, downtown Miami, see the exact issues there. And then overall, see exactly why Miami is corrupt. I think that every single one of us should take time to watch that one. It just gives a brief on how the corruption has continued and how we can stop it. So, and we can stop it. Together, we absolutely can stop it. I am convinced that we can stop the government gangsters together. And if you would also like a sticker or bumper sticker, please feel free to let us know. Go to the website. We'll make sure that we get anything out to you. If you want a yard sign, we've had a lot of people call for yard signs and for t-shirts, or to walk, or to make phone calls or text messages, or if you just need brochures to pass out to your neighbors, feel free to let me know that too. And I don't see any other questions coming up right now. There may be some issues. I know last week there were some issues with YouTube and Twitter not connecting to the stream, so I apologize for that. We use a service called StreamYard, and sometimes there may be a little connectivity issue. So thank you for being on today and for just watching and caring about your community. I hope that, I can activate as many of you to care about the community as I do. And that way we can all win together. We can win our services back, because I believe there's a lot of corruption. I believe there's a lot of money going out for things that are not being delivered. There's many ways we can find out. The other thing I'm going to be showing you how to do is, how to do a records request. I think I'm going to do an episode specifically, about how to make your government work for you. So that way you guys are aware of, how to do records request. In the meantime, you can report any issues to 311. And 311 is basically an app on your phone. It looks like this right here. Hold on, let me get it on the screen. So this is 311. You can go on and submit a records request here. And you could submit requests, regarding animals, bulky waste, county parks, recycling, environmental complaint, illegal dumping, missed garbage, missed recycling, mosquitoes, property, roadways, traffic signs and signals, tree trimming, water and sewer, and then all. So if you guys are if you are reporting any issues and they're not being followed up on, please feel free to send me your ticket number or forward me your email so that I can follow up for you. Because I believe, whereas we hear a lot of times the commissioner's offices, this annoys me to the nth degree when they tell you to report something on 311 and then they tell you to call their office to follow up. Well, they get all of your 311 messages. They just don't do anything about it until you call their office, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I like it so that when you have one time that you report something and your commissioner should follow through for you, follow up with you. It should not be up to you to continue to follow up. You're hiring that person with your vote. And I appreciate your votes, and I will make sure to work very hard for you to get these things done, because I also want our city to be clean and cleaned up. And I do know how to do the basic things within the city. I know how to get the county out. I know how to get even FDOT out. I know how to solve problems, and I know how to solve problems quickly, because if not, I take the issues to the media. I don't play games with them. I'm not going to City Hall to make friends. I have plenty of friends. I am going to City Hall to work for the citizens of District 2. And that is all that I'm going there for. I'm not going for payouts. I'm not going for handouts. I'm not going to make friends with any of the other commissioners. I will help them do their job. I would expect that they will do the same thing. And that way we can clean up Miami as a whole. Thank you, Dynamic Development Advisors. Thank you for requesting a sign. I appreciate that very much. So yes, God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And again, go to Christi4Miami.com and make sure that you follow me on social media. Thanks so much for spending time with me here today.